guys for joining us for Cocktails and Combos. I'm so excited to have everyone here. This is happy hour. I know usually for Detroit Startup Week, we're usually in person, just conversing and things like that. However, we still wanted to keep that fun happy hour vibe. So we're here with Cocktails and Combos, and I'm so excited to meet with you all. Just like Jacob said, my name is Lauren Daniels. I'm the founder and CEO of Sumptuous Spirits. We're a lifestyle brand that amplifies the cocktail experience through events, bar staffing, and digital content. So happy to have you guys here. We provided bar services for some of your favorite brands, of course, Detroit Startup Week, Google, WeWork, Bumble, as well as a number of birthday parties, weddings, you name it. So I'm excited to just have you guys here and to chat it up and have a good happy hour. So let's go ahead and get started with our guest. Today, we're talking about entrepreneurial journeys and the things you need to know about your money, which is so important, right? A lot of times we talk about the branding and the operations, but today we're talking about your money and the things you need to know. So I'm happy to have Paul with us as well as Jessica Willis. Welcome, you guys.
Hi there. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's give our audience a chance to get to know you guys a little bit. I'll start with you, Paul, and then Jessica, if you guys don't mind introducing yourselves.
Sure. I'm Paul Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. I am serial entrepreneur from Detroit, graduated from Cass Tech. I won't say what year, but I just started with the Goldman Sachs program about a year ago. For the last 15 years, I've been in various entrepreneurial ventures. So I definitely am excited to talk about all the aspiring entrepreneurs, tell you more about the program and how we can help you. And I just, again, applaud the initiative and the hustle.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Paul, so much. Jessica, if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I also am not going to share what year I graduated high school, but I am the founder and CEO of PocketNest. So PocketNest is a startup here in Michigan. We do comprehensive financial planning for Gen X and millennials in a digital platform. We're not direct to user. We are a B2B2C play. So we create the technology and we let financial institutions use that technology. So banks and credit unions and advisors, so they can efficiently serve their next generation.
All right, awesome. Well, you guys are in for a treat. Of course, they just shared their introductions. We already got a ton out of that, right? But before we get started on our conversations, of course, we have to have the cocktails first. So Paul and Jessica, are you ready to make your painkiller cocktails?
Absolutely. I've got some makeshift workarounds I might need to do, but yes.
Yes, of course. So we're going to get started with the painkiller cocktail. For those of you all that registered with Detroit Startup Week, you should have gotten your ingredients listing for the painkiller cocktail, but I'll just run down quickly what I'll be using today. So I'll be using our 2 James Dr. Bird rum. So just showing you guys here. Of course, 2 James is a Detroit-based brand, right in Detroit, in Corktown. I'm just so grateful for them for sponsoring our products this week as we're making these amazing cocktails for you all. So in order to get started, you'll need your rum, you'll need your pineapple juice, you'll need your orange juice, your coconut cream, your nutmeg, and whatever else you're garnishing. We have a pineapple garnish, so if you're going to use your pineapple chunks or a wedge, whatever you're using, we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So I'm using a shaker for my cocktail and, of course, a jigger. However, if you're at home and you're making these, if you don't have them, feel free to use a cup to mix them. You can pass them back and forth to mix your cocktails. And then if you don't have a jigger, which is what bartenders use to measure their pours, you can always use a tablespoon in order to convert the ingredients from ounces to tablespoons. So are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do is put some ice in our shaker here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our rum. And we're going to use 2 ounces of that. Now, most jiggers are 1 to 1.5 ounces. Make sure you check and see what your measurements are so you're not over or under pouring. And then feel free to pour whatever you feel comfortable with. So the cocktail ingredients are calling for 2 ounces. However, if you want to use more, if you're in that kind of mood, or if you want to use a little less, definitely feel free to do that. So we're going to use 2 ounces of our rum. All right, so we got our rum. Next thing we're going to do is use 2 ounces of pineapple juice. Now, ounces and juices is a little bit more than your normal, small pours. Obviously, you're going to you need more juice than that. However, I'm just going to do a splash of it, which will, compromise for the measurements you're using. So feel free just to use a little bit of pineapple juice, and I'll show you here. And that will suffice for your pineapple juice. Next thing we'll do is we'll do our coconut cream, which you'll need 1 ounce of that. I'm going to put that into your shaker. And I already have the ingredients measured out here. Now, next thing is your orange juice. So you're going to use 1 ounce of orange juice, which you don't want to use too much orange juice. It can, be overly citrusy. So make sure you just use a splash of that, 1 ounce of that. And I'm just going to eyeball it here. All right, great. So now once you get everything into your shaker, you're going to get your top on. And this is where you're going to be your best bartender. So you're just going to shake it up. Not too hard, not too, just want to do it a nice, good mixture. I see you over there, Jessica. You mixing it up really good there. All right, Paul, I see you being bartender over there too. And you're just going to pour it over ice into your cup. So I'm using a rocks glass. But whatever cup or beverage cup that you have is fine. I say 7 to 9 ounces is best, but feel free to use whatever you have. And so you're just going to pour it into your cup here. All right, so that's that. Now we're going to do our garnishes. So we're going to garnish with a little bit of nutmeg. You can use fresh nutmeg, or if you're like me, you're using what you have in your cabinet. And you're just going to sprinkle a bit on top. Again, whatever to your liking. And then you're just going to garnish with your pineapple. So you see I already have my pineapple here on my bamboo stick. And I'm just going to lay it across the drink like so. And here is your painkiller cocktail. All right, awesome. So we're going to do a Zoom cheers. I see Paul and Jessica, you have your beverages. We're going to do a cheers, and we're going to take a quick sip right before we get started. So 1, 2, 3, cheers. Delicious. I see you, Jake, there. I say, so whatever you have, whether you're sipping on your wine, or if you have your beer, your water, or if you make the painkiller cocktail, please sip and enjoy as we have this conversation. And again, I want to thank 2 James for sponsoring this portion of our session. So I'm going to move my camera close and see everyone here as we sit and chat. All right, here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our conversation. So Jessica, just to kind of start with you, tell us a little bit more about your background and why you decided to start PocketNest and why you thought it was a necessary app for people to have.
Yeah, so my background is in personal finance. I've got 20 years now. Now you can back into the high school question, but 20 years in personal finance and wealth management. I am a certified financial planner, certified private wealth advisor. I've co-managed $1 billion in assets for over 300 families. And I saw this massive, massive, massive gap in the industry. I developed this, anybody who has seen my pitch has heard, I developed this very sweet reputation with friends that all you need to do is take Jessica out to lunch and she gives you all the free financial advice that you can listen to in an hour. I kept hearing the same questions from friends over and over that, they just didn't have anywhere to go to. They were asking me to replicate the process that I was doing for my high net worth clients, and kind of boil things down to the masses, because for them, it was either too costly and or too time consuming, and actually also not at all appealing for them to hire a traditional advisor with the way kind of the industry has been so far. I kept getting the question, I feel like I can do this on my own with just a little bit of hand holding. What's the tech tool that helps me do that? And I tried to find that tech tool for many friends and peers and couldn't. And so everything I saw was certainly, in fintech, but just not that comprehensive piece that I was doing as an advisor. So we built it.
Awesome. And what's the process been like for you just developing this app and then actually reaching out to people to ensure they find it and make sure they're able to use it as needed?
Yeah. So the process has been, I think I would answer that question much less focused on the process of building an app and much more focused on the process of going from working in the corporate world to having a startup. Paul sounds like probably knows this as well, but just launching a startup it's such uncharted territory. There's no rule book. There's no way to know what's right and what's not right. And so I think, the real important thing was just getting embedded into the Detroit and Ann Arbor startup ecosystems to find out that I didn't know what I didn't know. And then of course there was the whole question of how to build a tech app when you're not a tech founder, but we figured that out.
Yes, and I think that's important to know here. You don't know what you don't know. And even, as entrepreneurs, again, you're so focused on the operations that sometimes you have to stop and think, yes, of course, I need to know the accounting things, but what about the other things that are important that I don't know? So it's good to have something that you can literally have on your phone and be able to reference. So I think that's awesome, Jessica.
Thanks.
So Paul, tell us a little bit more about what you do with Goldman Sachs and what you do to help entrepreneurs, and then specifically some of the struggles as it relates to money and finances that you see entrepreneurs have issues with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to dovetail on what Jessica was saying. Many times as a small business owner, you don't know what you don't know, or in Donald Rumsfeld terms, there's the known knowns, known unknowns, none known unknowns. And with that said, many small business owners go into business because they have a passion. They're servicing a need. They're technicians in the sense that they know their product, but all of those finer points about how to scale up a business, how to take it to the next level is there's no one source for that. And that's what Goldman Sachs, through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business, tried to address that void. So in 2011, through their philanthropic arm, they earmarked $500 million with the intent of helping 10,000 small businesses scale up. And it's about rounding out everything they know with that structured educational system over 4 months to help them understand how to hire the right people, how to understand their finances, putting the processes and procedures, the operation side, that piece of the puzzle together so they have the right format to scale up. Because they've invested so much in this program, it doesn't cost the small business owners anything. So it's sort of like a scholarship basis. Goldman Sachs is paying for your education to help your business scale up. I joined the program about a year ago. And this is the first paycheck I've received from something that I didn't start or found in about over 15 years. So it was a shift moving from, I guess, the opposite journey of Jessica, moving from the entrepreneurial space to the more institutional space. But it's because I believe in the product so much. Prior to this, I had a virtual CFO company, and half of my customers unknowingly were graduates of the Goldman Sachs program.
Oh, wow.
And I did not know it. I just knew that there was this group of clients I had that were really on top of it, really sharp, and the other half weren't. And there was a stark difference. So I saw the value of the program. It's a no-brainer for any company that's looking to scale up and to be around other entrepreneurs that have the same passion. It's an amazing program. So that's what lured me away from the entrepreneurial space. Now, I still have my own company, so I'm not, I haven't given it totally up, but to focus my time and attention to be a part of something that's truly special and that's affecting so many entrepreneurs in such a positive way.
Yes, and absolutely. And I think it always comes back to the people and servicing people. So I think that it's great that you have the opportunity to be in this position as an entrepreneur yourself to help other entrepreneurs, especially in areas where we have our struggles. And I think that's awesome being a part of this great program. So I'm sure, do you have a website where people can learn more information?
Yep, I'll post it in the chat, but supply10ksb.com. That's a lot, especially, after a couple of really nice drinks. So it's better for me to post it and people go on and apply today. But it's a pretty straightforward application process. And this is not available. We don't have sites all over the country. We have 19, but for companies that are located in the Michigan area, don't have Detroit exclusively, it's a great program. And I'll just throw the requirements out there just to, get that off the table. If you've been in business for 2 years, have over 100,000 in revenue, and have 2 employees or more, this would be a great program and a great fit for you. If you're a little bit early on, then email me anyway, because we love to get you in the purview in the pipeline and make sure that when the time is right, we get you in.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We'll make sure to get that in the chat. So if you are interested, you're able to contact Paul and able to go to the website. Now, Paul, just touching base a little bit more on the program and you working directly with entrepreneurs, what are some of the things that you see entrepreneurs struggling with most? So
we have over 545 alumni in the program. Almost 10,000 nationwide. So the issues are pretty persistent. As you're looking to scale up, knowing your numbers and really engaging with your numbers is so important. It's many times the Achilles heel for many small businesses. And I believe that it's because it's presented like many things that you learn in the education. It's like presented like Brussels sprouts, right? So you already got this really weird feeling going into it. But really, for most small business owners, one, you're in it to make money, right? And that's the way you sort of keep score. And two, if it's done in the right way, it's really engaging. So if you have if you understand the numbers at your level, like the various key performance indicators, like how many customers you're serving, you probably know that. Most small business owners look at their POS system once a day, what their cost is. So putting that framework around it so you really can engage with your numbers and make decisions off of it is where we step in. And I think once people get past that initial hurdle and understand that the numbers can work for them, then it makes a huge difference on their outcomes and their real-time decision-making.
Awesome. And I think this is a good segue into, figuring out, and both Jessica and Paul, you can absolutely feel free to give your input. Why is it important for us to know these numbers? So Paul, you talked a little bit about KPIs, which are key performance indicators, which tells you how well your business is doing, some of the financial ratios, your balance sheet, your income statements, which may be foreign to some people, but let's talk about why those things are important, why we need to know these things.
I can go on, but I do want to give Jessica the floor for So I don't know.
Jessica said, I'm enjoying my cocktail and I'm listening.
Yeah. I want to know why my cocktail looks so different from yours.
I put more rum in mine. I think that's why mine. You said go, with your comfort level, so maybe I was a little heavy-handed.
Yeah,
anyway,
after 5, it's fine. I think the thing I'd say about knowing your numbers is I would take a step back even before knowing your numbers. It's measure your numbers. So when I started, when we first launched our product in October, we started actually when we put up the website 2 years ago. We started tracking every KPI that you can imagine. So it was, how many people came to our site, gender, what links they were clicking on, what they were reading. And then once we launched our product, it's the same exercise. We're tracking probably 200 to 300 KPIs on a monthly basis. And it's interesting because we don't entirely know why we're measuring all those things yet, but it's really, really, really important because now, 2 years into measuring website traffic, I can look back and see how the age demographic has changed over the last 2 years. And then on the the engagement side, now that we are launched, I can go back to October and see what spikes mean what. So the point that I want to make about even before knowing your numbers, it's measure your numbers. You have no idea which of those metrics are going to be important to you when, and being able to go back and look at this 2-year story, the story starts to show up. So, Paul already talked about why the numbers are so important. And Paul, you're welcome to, I'm sure you've got more to share there, but I think that's the piece I would add is, even before you know your numbers, measure every number you can, because stories will show up.
Yeah. So I work under the philosophy, I call it 3M philosophy. That's monitor, measure, manage. So when you take that approach, it's hard for you to make really good management decisions if you don't have any key measurables. If you don't know, it's like, studying for a quiz and you don't know, how you're performing at the end of the day. So the way you keep score, the way you understand how well you're doing is by looking at your numbers. And that's also a good platform to engage with your employees. In my book that I haven't written or published yet, but in my book is a KPI at every measure, every level and every measure. And that, if you have your employees, let's say you're a restaurant owner and you're having issues with the manager on site of staff scheduling, if you don't know what your labor cost is as a percentage of revenue and can clearly communicate that to the manager, then you're just, you're ranting. You're not coming with them with real data, right? But if I tell you, Jessica, as long as you get every person comes in here, if you get 50 people come in here a day and each one spends $60 in their tab, and you keep your labor costs at 40% of revenue, then you will be successful. Now, on the other side, people are gonna come and say, here's your profit and loss statement, here's your balance sheet, all are important. All that stuff is sort of like just wishy-washy, but if you come out with those 3 measurables, okay, I know I gotta get 50 people in here, each one has to spend $60, and then my labor cost has to be 40% of that. And then you can communicate those to each person on your staff, like your manager. You can say, look, labor cost has to be, whatever I said, 50 or 40% of revenue. And first week, they're going to say, what the hell, what are you talking about? Show them where it's at now. Second week, they're going to start saying, okay, I see what you're getting at and what can I change? By week 4 or 5, they're already going to know what's on the test. They're going to study and they're going to tell you how they could do better. So yeah, I know numbers are a little bit lower. They should be lower this week because I did X, Y, and Z. So you have to understand which of those key metrics are going to make you successful, measure the heck out of them, and communicate them to your staff, and that's how you're going to win. If you do it like, if you come in and just pissed off because I have no money in the account, then you're going to come off as that person who's sort of bipolar. And some days you're happy until you go to the bank, you come back, and then you're pissed off at the world, right? So you're not giving them, you're like, spanking a puppy and not telling them what they did. And they don't know what to expect, and certainly don't know how to manage their behavior around it. I'm sure that was a lot. So I'll.
No, that's good. That's good.
No, this was great information. I think this is so important for people to know, because with these metrics come of the storytelling of how your business is doing, what works, what doesn't work, even operationally. If you do a Facebook ad and you use X amount of money, and then you see what the conversion rates are. So I think that's really important for people to know. And, kind of segueing into, okay, so now we know we need these metrics. We know we need to measure them. We know where we need to start, or what we need to look at. However, where do entrepreneurs start, right? Especially, I know for all of us, we have a financial background. Myself, I was an auditor for 6 years prior to me jumping into entrepreneurship. However, for those who don't have that background, aren't sure kind of where to start, what resources can they utilize, whether it's, a free online website or an app, or even, something here in Detroit where people can kind of go to start measuring their, these metrics or figuring out their financials. Where can entrepreneurs start?
I'd say, so we are super, super lucky to be in Southeast Michigan, because the startup ecosystem and the support that we have is so strong. Between Bamboo and Tech Town and Ann Arbor Spark, even the Detroit Startup Week, there are so many programs and so much support here in Southeast Michigan to support startup founders that I would say find your community. In fact, I think that was sort of the turning point for me. Was I had left my job at the end of 2017 and felt super alone, and I had never, left corporate world to start a startup, and of course had no idea what that meant. And then I joined G-Beta, which was the run-through generator, G-Beta Detroit. And from there, then I went to Startup Boost Detroit and Startup Bootcamp through Ann Arbor Spark. All of these programs that all of a sudden I had my community. And I think that community has been so important and so helpful for me. Of course, I've got a finance background, so my questions were never around the finance side, but they have resources for everything. They have resources for the marketing side, for the fundraising side, for the, for me, it was how to build a tech platform when you're not a tech founder. And then certainly financial resources and pitching practice and all that. So I would say find your community, and they will share it.
Yeah, I would echo that. That's why I'm glad I let Jessica go first, because I can do whatever she said and sound intelligent. But no, it's true that being an entrepreneur is very much a lonely planet, and finding other entrepreneurs that you can commiserate with, who've been through it, that you can leverage off of, is key. But in terms of resources, especially in the financial side, there's a lot of free resources. There's a lot of paid resources as well. But if you look at the free resources, the Small Business Development Corporation is SBDC. They do really good work. Score.org, they do a lot of great work as well. And these are all, these both are free. TechTown has Ask an Expert. So if you go to TechTown, they have great resources. There's a ton of resources out there. And once you know and you're committed to doing, getting certain things in order, then you'll find resources abound. Accounting Aid Society is another great resource for companies that need to get their books in order, get their QuickBooks cleaned up. They're really, and get their taxes filed. They're really good in that space. The other thing I would add is for some of the companies that are looking for funding that may not be bankable just yet, maybe because their idea is a little bit early stage, or They may have entrepreneur's credit, right? So there's resources. So look at the different lenders in the ecosystem. Invest Detroit does a lot of great things. Detroit Development Fund, Michigan Women's Forward, Prosper Us. As Jessica mentioned, not only do they provide you capital, but they also provide, in many cases, technical assistance. So that's the beauty of it. I mean, there's resources abound. And I'm pretty hard on people. I'll tell people like, look, your excuses are your own. If you want to succeed, we can get you the resources. If you want to find excuses, then, you don't need me for that. But there's tons of resources. And I, will put my email address. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. We can get you in the right direction.
You guys just dropped a ton of gems, okay? I'm telling you, I needed to be taking notes myself here. And I think all of the resources you all listed were great, most of which I know, but some that I didn't know, which I think are great. I am a member of Bamboo, and I know at Bamboo they do have workshops for people to meet with other accountants and things like that, so you can kind of get these things intact, even provide you some resources to help you with your businesses. You all named a ton of programs, which I think are great. So this is perfect. Now, just kind of getting into when should entrepreneurs look to hire a professional accountant? Now, I will say for myself, as someone who has an accounting background, this is one of the early mistakes I made, because I said, oh, well, I can do my books myself. It's not a ton of trouble, which was fine within the first 6 months. But after, doing 30 events to doing, 300 a year, outside of already having to manage and talk to staff and keep up with operations, some of that stuff went out the window. So when it's time to file taxes and get all your things together, I'm scrambling, trying to get things together. And it's, for me, it was really hard trying to hone in and say, you know what, I need to buckle down and have someone work with me on my finances, help me with my books, make sure I have someone there to file my taxes, to keep up with the current tax guidelines and things like that. So just provide your guidance on when should people seek professional assistance with their finances.
Why don't you start this time?
Yeah, I would say from day one, honestly, I'll give an example. I used to work in investment banking and was making, investment banking money. And the first thing my boss asked me was, do you have a financial planner? So I know finance. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna set up a meeting for you. And that wasn't my area of expertise. I mean, I knew what I did. I knew how to structure deals. I knew how to figure out your loan coverage ratio, but I did not know how to take care of my own finances. One of the misconceptions is that you go through, in our program, I love the people who say, hey, I grew my business. I never studied business. This is why I want to come join the Goldman Sachs program so I can learn all those things. Cool. We get you through. You come out a better person. The hardest people are the ones who say, well, I got my MBA. It's like, yeah, but I have my MBA too. They don't teach you anything about finance, personal or business, small business finance. I mean, in all my years, I never heard of QuickBooks until I stepped out on my own.
Yes.
Right? If you go to someone who comes out with their MBA and say, okay, have you been on QuickBooks before? Like, Quicken something, QuickBooks. Yeah, but, that's essential. If you've never heard of it, even if you don't use it, that's telling. So there's tons of resources like with Jessica, what she does. It's don't have that bravado. I mean, there's people who specializes in this, and they do it for a good reason. So I would say from day one, make sure you have a good team. And this is why, because hopefully your plan is not going to be small forever. And you're putting an infrastructure where you can scale up easily. It's hard to scale up when you start off like, oh, I can do everything myself. And then one day you won't be able to, or you won't be big, right? And then you come back and have to, rip out the plumbing and start over again. So from day one, just start building your team as if. And there's a lot of really inexpensive, most of the people have scalable payment platforms. I'm sure Jessica talk about her product, but from day one, make sure that you're ready to scale up. That's intentional. So that would be my advice.
I think the one piece I would add, I agree. I mean, I've had an accountant since day one, and I spent 10 years at an accounting firm. I'm not a CPA, but I did not have the bravado of I can do this. And frankly, now, I mean, I don't have the time to do a lot of that. But I would say if you're not at a position you really feel like you don't have the budget to hire someone formal, again, back to kudos in Detroit, find your advisors, find your mentors, because there are a lot of people out there, people like me, I'm going to volunteer, people like Paul, there are so many people involved in the startup ecosystem who have received help from others that we're around to help the next gen of where I was a year from now or a year past. So find your mentors, find your advisors. Some of those mentors and advisors could be attorneys. They could be, CPAs, where they have enough experience that they're not going to do your work for you, but they certainly can answer that question more clear of, okay, now it's time for you to formally pay someone for this. And I do think I was encouraged early on to set up a formal board of advisors that's all volunteer. I've got 4 people who've been on my board of advisors for 18 months now, and I think they're trying to rotate off, and I hope they're not watching because I'm not going to let them. But the point is that they find your people. There are so many people who are just dying to help young startup founders and people with new ideas, and they can answer some of those questions before you're ready to formally pay a professional.
Yes, I think you guys dropped so many gems here. And I think it's important to understand as entrepreneurs, I know we're like, oh, we can do this ourselves. I don't need to hire somebody for that. I'll kind of just research it and do it, which sometimes, that's plausible. But I will definitely say in this instance, and I will attest to this fully, it was so great to work with someone, and Paul, you mentioned it, that is a QuickBooks advisor. I was just so excited to, once I got my QuickBooks advisor, and he was able to get my books in line, and I was able to easily pull those statements or, review those ratios that I need to see, how we're doing, especially right now where most entrepreneurs are in the season of pivoting due to the COVID-19 crisis and, the pandemic. I had to take a look at things and figure out where we are, what's working, what's not working, what can we do to shift, what will work for us. And a lot of that, was, easy for me to take a look at because I had everything in line. So I think, the key here is definitely, no matter where you are in your stages, I think it's really good to seek some kind of professional advice or platform where you can manage these things without being overwhelmed. And also, too, making sure that you don't mix up your personal finances with your business finances. I know it's so easy to just send clients or do services and things through your personal PayPals or Cash Apps and things like that. But it's really good in the beginning to separate those things, because you'll look up and you'll get double taxed and things like that. And you don't want that. So really great advice here. Any other things that you guys can provide to entrepreneurs in regards to money or resources, or any other advice that you can kind of give them to help them as they're figuring their things out, whether it's personal finances or business finances?
So personal finance. So we have our company is a personal finance tool. So feel free to download PocketNest. It is free to user. We have because we license our software to institutions, so we get paid by the institutions on a monthly subscription fee for that. But we do have a free direct-to-consumer app, and you can download it off of Google Play or iOS. And so hopefully you can get some great personal finance nuggets out of there. We take users through all 10 themes of financial planning. So budget, estate planning, savings for kids' college, retirement, insurance, investment. I'm obviously missing some, but that's the plug I would make for our own company and resources. And then as far as I think professional services, just again, I would say, thanks, Jacob. I would say find the community again. I think there's a lot of good resources out there and people who are there to help. So find your mentors, find your audience and your people.
Yep. Yeah, well put. From a business financial standpoint, Lauren hit on it. And first, I applaud Lauren. She has a accounting auditing background, but she also early on knew when to find additional support, and I think that's great. But first, as Lauren said, separate your business and your personal finances. So if you walk out of here with nothing else than learning how to make a good drink and take this point with you as well, you're right now today, go to your bank, doesn't matter which bank, set up a business account and only spend from that account. That's going to save you so much pain and agony, right? And it's something that sounds simple, but just, have the discipline to keep those two things separate. Second thing I would say is make sure that you set up some type of accounting software. QuickBooks is used by many small businesses, but it can be a little bit tricky. There's a Google sheet that does a really good job at helping you separate your, manage your business finances, but just start getting a habit of that. You have to engage with your numbers early on because that's how you're going to go. I mean, the financial statements, you're managing your cash flow, all these things are like the language of business. If you don't understand the language of business, then you won't be able to communicate and go to the next level. So bite the bullet, start today. Don't make any more excuses, and put your proper infrastructure in place. And the last thing I would say is surround yourself by other entrepreneurs. There's early stage organizations such as Build Institute. They do a great job. Prosper Us. They do a really good job of providing you with the training, funding. When you're ready for the stage 2 course, Goldman Sachs, I think is a great program, or else I wouldn't be part of it. So there's a program for you wherever you are, but get in it. Like if I told you today, in Monopoly, I can tell you 3 or 4 things to do, and it's going to increase tremendously your probability of success, then you would do it, right? And these organizations are set up to help you succeed. So seek them out. If you have any questions, talk to Lauren, Jessica, or I, and we can help point you in the right directions. But make sure you use the system and make sure you use it to support and promote your success.
Awesome. I think we have had so many great gems dropped today, so many nuggets that entrepreneurs can use as it relates to their finances. So I want to transition into Q&A. Jake is in here. We're taking your questions, whatever questions you have for myself, Paul, or Jessica will be happy to answer them for you. Now, as we're waiting for these things, I have a quick question for you guys, Paul and Jessica, unrelated to finance, but absolutely related to cocktails. If you guys could have a drink with anyone who's living or deceased, who would you have a cocktail with? And feel free, guests who are tuning in, let us know too. I'll be happy to read some of these out loud. But Paul and Jessica, tell us, who would you have a cocktail with?
Okay, so this is so embarrassing, but I love history, especially like mid 1500s, 1600s European history. So I think I would have a lot of questions and a great conversation with Henry VIII and all of his wives. I'd probably want to leave the room quickly as well, but I also think it would be interesting. So I'm gonna go with that.
That sounds like it would be an interesting conversation, especially with cocktails involved in 8 Wives.
Right.
I think that would be a great conversation to have, especially over a drink. Eric said he would have it with Anthony Bourdain, no question. And that definitely sounds like a good cocktail session to me. Paul, who would you have a cocktail with?
Reggie Lewis. Why should white guys have all the fun? First Black billionaire. He did leverage buyouts before people knew what they were. Just awesome. Unfortunately, he died in his mid-50s, but yeah, definitely would love to pick his brain and yeah, get some knowledge.
Yes, I would have a cocktail with Michelle Obama. I always say she seems like the perfect girl to kick it with. She seems like she likes a little bit of cognac, a little bit of whiskey. I think that we would have a great session over some good drinks. So that would be my person. So Jacob, I see you're on here. Who would you have a drink with?
Oh boy, I'm trying to think of who I'd say. I'm tempted to say like Albert Einstein, but I probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be a particularly productive conversation. I think this is a weird answer, but I think in this moment, I think I would say Bayard Rustin, the civil rights organizer, who organized the March on Washington. I'd really love to tap his brain in this moment.
Yes, all of these answers are great. They're not your typical answers, and I think it's good that you guys have some really good out the box answers. So this is really good. I'm happy that you guys were able to join us. Any questions, guys? I don't see any. Hopefully, we're able to answer all of your questions as it relates to entrepreneurs and finance. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Paul and Jessica, let people know where they can find you.
Oh. Yes. So should we type in the chat?
Yeah, type in chat so that people can grab it here.
My email is jessica@pocketnest.com, and truly reach out if you have any questions, anything I can help people with. It's lonely to be a founder, and I'm here to help in any way I can.
Yeah, I just typed in my email. I'm going to, I gotta make sure I get the website correctly. But
Were you going to include that link as well?
Yep, I'm going to do that right now.
Perfect.
All right, awesome. Well, while Paul is typing that in, if you enjoyed the cocktail today, again, it's with 2 James, Dr. Bird Jamaican rum, which I am thoroughly enjoying with my painkiller cocktail. As you guys see, I have been sipping on it all cocktail and Cabos long, the whole hour. But if you guys enjoyed this cocktail, I do have something for you guys here that you can grab. So if you want more cocktails, tips and tricks, and other tasty memories, feel free to grab our ebooks. We have a number of ebooks that have over a dozen cocktail recipes, tips and tricks, things like that. You can use your code DSW to get your ebook for $10. They're normally $14.99, and that you can get on sumptuousspirits.com/guide. I have a girl's guide to quarantine cocktails. I know not everyone is ready to get outside just yet, but if you do want to get some good cocktails made at home, ladies, we have something for you. Guys, we did not forget about you. We also have the guys' guide to cocktails, which has an amazing array of cocktails. You don't have to be stuck just drinking whiskey. We have gin cocktails, we have cognac, we have vodka. And then, of course, we have the holidays coming up with the 4th of July, and we have our crowd cocktails. So if you're looking to make those big batch recipes for the guests who are coming to kick it in the backyard, we also have an ebook that has a number of crowd cocktails. So again, you can use the code DSW to purchase any of these ebooks for $10. The code will only be active until Friday. So absolutely go out there, grab it, and download your ebook. Paul and Jessica, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you guys. We're going to close things out with one more cheers. All right, everybody grab your drinks, whatever you got. I see Jacob's double fisting. So we're going to cheers. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Thank you so much, and enjoy your Wednesday.
Thank you.